Well, hello again, and welcome back to another edition of Austin's American Flyer, where today we're taking a look at a 1948-49 332 project that you can see is once again running. A little bit about these Northerns. These are the largest American Flyer steam engines that were made by A.C. Gilbert. They have been known to be called Challengers because they were part of a Challenger set, and so sometimes you hear them called a Challenger. Wheel arrangement wise, they're a 484, which is a Northern wheel arrangement. The Northern that you have here before you would have come with a small motor, has no traction tires. This does not have any bells and whistles. It's choo-choo and smoke and headlight, but no horn or anything else. Later on, they kind of became standard that they had extra things in them, which made sense. They were certainly the most expensive steam engine that Flyer made, and they're big. So it's kind of fun to see what this one will do. I also am going to whet your appetite. I'm going to do some experiments between this large motored 332, a small motored 332, a 336 with a large motor, which those would have traction tires, and then just to be a little bit ornery, I'm going to include an American Models Northern, and we're going to do some comparing and contrasting of their weights, their looks, and of course, how well do they pull? And we'll take a look at some of the amperage and motor specs, that kind of stuff too, because that's just fascinating. So keep your attention turned towards this channel. That'll be coming up at a point in the future. But for now, today, we're going to take a look at this guy. And as always, thanks a lot for stopping in, and appreciate your time. In front of me is an engine that I was given from a gentleman who, he didn't tell me where he got it, but he just said that someone had stuck a large motor in it. Well, this is a 332, and it's one of the early ones, so probably 48, 49, somewhere in there. And someone stuck one of the large commutators in here, armatures I should say, and he told me it didn't run. So I'm going to try to get it running, and I'm not sure what I'm going to get into, and I don't know if there's any issue with sticking such a large armature in one of these early motors or not. It doesn't feel like there's any binding, but it doesn't run, so we'll have to get to the bottom of what's going on there and see if we can get this motor to turn over. Alright, so I've taken off the concentric and main piston valve here because there's a bit of a binding every time it goes around. Now, when I manually moved the armature, after removing that, it seemed like it was smoother, but it's still acting goofy. Still acting like it's binding. Again, I have yet to take it all apart, but I wanted to kind of lubricate things, which I've done, the axles, the motor, everything I can, the cam gear for the piston. I've done all that from kind of below and around. And let's see, we may get some life in this thing after all here, after it gives a little exercise. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and reverse direction and see what happens. It didn't want to go very well in forward before. Pushing is kind of sticky. Okay, so got a little bit more smoke fluid in the smoke generator, and that wick was just completely dried out. I put probably 12 drops in it, and then I got a little more aggressive, and now it's starting to work. So that's good. The motor, as you can see, is starting to run better. Everything's kind of coming back to life. So the next step I'm going to do is actually take this all apart. I'm going to clean everything real good, and I'm going to lube it up and put it back together and see how this thing does on the layout. All right, before I disassemble everything, I decided, you know what, I'm going to just do a little more investigation on why this thing was not running very smoothly. So I put the main piston and concentric gear back on both sides, and I manually moved stuff when I did this, and this one was really bound up. So I put some lubrication on and moved it back and forth, and it freed up a little bit, but it's not at all where I would want to see it, and it's a little bit tight. And so I'm going to do some investigation. I can't tell for sure, but this might be bent a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know that that's. It might be this bracket up here that's bent, but something is not aligned like it should be, because I shouldn't need to use any lubrication on here. It should almost be sloppy. That's the way these usually are. So good news is everything's moving a lot more freely than it had, so I'm going to put this back on rolling road, and we'll see how it runs with concentric gear on. Okay, so good news is it is running with the concentric gear on. I don't know how well this comes through on this phone, but there's a little extra gear slap sound that I'm not crazy about, and I'm hoping when this is clean, some of that will go away. So at this point, I'm getting pretty excited at how well this repair is going. Based on some of the things I saw, I was a bit nervous, expecting kind of the worst, but I think, hey, if I take this apart and clean it real good and then do some fresh lubrication, it should smooth out, and I should have a great running Northern here without too much fuss. But I should also know that I need to wait until the woman or the lady with the extra large clothing sings before I celebrate. All right, so I've got the side gear apart, and I've been cleaning it, and just realized that this piece actually came apart, which it shouldn't have. This should all be together in one piece. It should be like this. But I got to looking at it, and I see a couple things. Number one, this is bent, which is how the rivet heads came out. You can see it's twisted. And then I also noticed that, and this might be a little harder to see in the camera, but this piece is bent inward and down a little bit. And let's see if we can maybe show this contrast. It's a little hard to see, but maybe if we go, you can see how that one's just a tiny bit bent, so I'll need to square that one up. Now let's take this one. You can see how twisted that is. So this is what was binding up drive wheels, at least one of the things. I suspect that the piston for the smoke unit was another thing. I have yet to figure out if there's more than those two items or not, but time will tell. So I thought this may be interesting for you viewers out there to see, like, well, why do people say the large motor, and what difference does it make? Well, here are three different armatures. This would be an earlier one, and you can see how there's a larger gap between the fields here. And then this one would have been 53. You can see it's even got the blue wire. But look at the comparison in size
difference. And this extra metal here helps with a stronger magnetic field once everything is energized, which gives you cooler running temperatures and better performance. And now, are these problematic? No, they're not problematic. The engines still run and they still run great, but this was a little bit of a kind of kick in the pants if you had it. I think it's almost hilarious that someone put this one in one of these old Challengers. So I'm kind of excited to get it on the rails, because I think it's probably going to do a lot of wheel spinning, since these don't have traction tires. And usually when you got the bigger motor, the wheels, there was at least one set of traction tires on there to help with the grip and the extra power. So we'll see how that goes. Well, I am reaching a point where I've got a decision I need to make. I've applied super glue to the wheel here, small amount, and it just will not stay tight. I've tried different things, and as you can see, it just slides in and out. And what has happened is the end of the axle should look like that, but this one, let's see how the tip is rounded. So part of the issue is the inside of this wheel. It's kind of stripped. So I'm at a point where I'm going to probably have to use epoxy, because it doesn't matter what I do. I could, even if I replace the axle, well, actually this one is sticking. Okay, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change these axle. I'm going to have to pull the axle and the wheel and the gear out and put the new one in, because that is just too worn and it's just spinning inside the wheel. So I tell you what, I just couldn't hardly believe what was happening. First I find one driver's loose. Then I discover, wait, no, the main drive axle is pretty much shot on both sides. I get that fixed so that the wheels keep going out of quarter, and then without even blinking an eye, 4 more wheels fall off. I mean, they literally fall off. And that wasn't where things ended, though. I also had one of the studs, the main drive rod stud, fall out of the wheel. So I don't know. I kind of get the impression that somebody had a bunch of northern parts laying around and they're like, hey, I'm just going to slap these together and make myself an engine. Never mind, it doesn't work. Let's not forget about the bent crosshead guide. And that probably happened, I'm guessing, because of the wheels going out of quarter, but I don't know for sure. It's hard to tell. Chicken or an egg. So much for tuning in today. I hope you found this enjoyable, maybe even learned something. So until next time, take care, God bless. We'll see you. Enjoy those American Flyer trains. And until next time, take care. Bye.